Hey guys, how's it going? It's kind of a gray, miserable day after Christmas here, so I figured I'd give a little intro to a project I'm going to be working on here for a little bit. I teased this on my Instagram the other day and seemed to get pretty good reaction from it. What this is an M2 C10, one of the ones they just came out with. This is OJ. Um, there's a couple really cool trucks there that have, the Square Body Syndicate names and stuff on them. And yeah, this one's called OJ. It's I think it's supposed to be like a 75 or 73 C10. And, it's already slammed and lowered and stuff. And I just wanted to show you guys a little bit about what I'm going to be doing with this truck. And this is going to be one of the trucks that I make to send to King of the Mountain next year. I'll probably build a few vehicles and just kind of see which ones work before I send it in, since he's limiting it to 2 cars per person next year. So, but yeah, this is the truck, and I can show you real quick. Like I said, these guys right here. They've got just 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, and why don't I just pull those out and I can show you how these guys are put together, and I'll show you a little bit about my thought process on what's going on with this truck. So I'll take it apart and I'll be right back. Okay, and I know it doesn't look like it's taken apart, but the screws are out, and I can show you how this comes apart. There's little tabs in there that lock that to the back of the cab, and the cab lifts off, and the seat pops out like that. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple, and yeah, it's a pretty cool frame. And since it's basically a frame under the wheels kind of deal, which I really like because the car's going to be sitting super low. And yep, the wheels come off just super simple on these M2 cars. That's why wheel swaps and stuff are so popular with these things, because it's just super simple to just swap out a set of wheels on these things. And yeah, right there is your basic frame. Now, I think probably what I'll have to do is I'll probably take, it's right here, take a 1/16 inch drill bit, and you kind of have to work it in there a little bit because it doesn't really want to turn, because it's, there you go. So you can just kind of break the paint loose in there. And you've got a 16th inch hole to slide an axle tube in. Same thing with the back. Pretty straightforward. Axle tube will slide right in there. Yeah, so the next step for me, I was just playing with a ruler a little bit here. And if you look at the overall width on an FTE, from this backing right here, to the flat front, it's about 6.5 mil. So this overall width for 2 tires is about 13 millimeter, and so the overall width of the vehicle can't be over 33 mil. So which would, if I wanted it completely as wide as it can be, would be cutting a 20 mil piece. And I just marked out, that's, let's see if it'll focus. There we go. That mark right there is at 19 mil, and I'll just leave just a little bit beyond that when I cut it off. So that'll give me the length of my axle tube. And 19 mil plus 13 mil is, that puts you right in at 32 mil. And yeah, I'll be able to mock up a set of wheels in axle tubes really quick, so I can start clearing out the body, because I'm going to have to take this wheel well and probably bring it up to about the top line here. Probably going to have to clear out just as much as I can to get the wheels in there, because the wheels are going to be outside of the wheel well, but when I get done. So yeah, so let me just trim some axle tubes real quick, and I will show you how this thing starts to mock up. Okay, well, I'm going to assume that a lot of guys watching this video have probably seen me do axle tubes before, but just in case anyone hasn't seen the way I do axle tubes, this is 1/16 inch copper tubing, which it just so happens that an FTE axle will slide right in that hole really nice and tight. And what I do is I take a cutoff wheel, and I just scallop out just a little bit of material. You can kind of see it from the side there, and then I just take a sharp tool, like that, and just punch through the copper. And that way, when you slide the axle in, the end there, it'll be exposed. And when you glue the axle tube in place, it should hold the axle in there real nice and tight. Now you can crimp them and stuff, but I don't trust that. The JB quick weld just seems to work really well. Occasionally I'll have an axle pull loose, but not very often. So yeah, so these are cut. I have 2 of them cut, and yeah, they are right at 19 millimeters. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to, these are probably just stand-in wheels. I had a VW Beetle, with FTEs, and since it's still around here, I'm assuming that that these wheels aren't super good. I haven't really looked at them really close, but I spend quite a bit of time looking at the wheels before I decide on what wheels I'm going to use. But these can be stand-in wheels, and what I'll do is I'll just take a little pair of cutting pliers. Some people call them dikes, whatever you want to call them. And what I'll do is, usually I will just not necessarily cut them through, but just kind of squeeze them to put a good mark. And I'll show you what I mean here. Let's see if I can do this without making a mess. Get it about halfway in, and what I put it right in my hand, and just squeeze, and it creates a weak spot in the axle, and it should just snap with a little bit of pressure here. Maybe not. Of course not. But I've got plenty of axles around, so if these are bent, I've got plenty more. Or you could just get a bigger pair of dikes and just cut it, or I could cut it with, there we go. There's that nice little snap there. And if you do it that way, it makes, the ends are pretty clean. So yeah, so let me slide these axles in these axle tubes, and I'll show you the frame here in just a second. Okay, and through the magic of television, yeah, I've got just some FTEs mocked up with axle tubes. I might have to do a little different take on the axle tube on the rear, because where I'm going to be gluing it in, I can't quite get at where the little scalloped out section is, but on the front, you can see that'll work real nice. Yeah, there you go. And yeah, and as you can see, this will be a very low riding frame. Now the next part of this project is going to be clearancing for the wheel wells, because these wheels were tucked in, but now they're going to be out as wide as the body. So you can see the body will no longer sit back down all the way over the frame, and that's the same front and rear. Yeah, see, it just doesn't sit down. So I have to radius these wheel wells, and I think I'm probably going to do that in the next video. One thing that's going to be pretty cool is I'm going to try and leave it so that the hood will still open, and hopefully I'll have enough room to get the lead I need in there. These things are really heavy. These M2s are, I think this is like 67 grams, and I only have to go up to 115 grams, so I should be able to just, I'm probably going to leave the seat out and just get my lead in under the body and under in the cab. But yeah, like I said, as you can see, with these M2 frames, it makes it really pretty easy because the frames are actually pretty square and true. It makes it pretty simple to put axle tubes in. So yeah, I'm gonna call this. I'm not gonna do anything more on this. I think the name of this truck is gonna be Crush, C-R-U-S-H, after the old Orange Crush soda. So yeah, so I might have to come up with something cool for that, but yeah, I think it's just gonna be called Crush. And yeah, so stay tuned for the next video. Probably the tricky thing with that is with the next part is, I think it would be cool to maintain the look of that square body wheel well. So it's probably going to be a lot of just kind of minute filing and trying to maintain the original look, only just clearing material way up here so the wheels will clear. So that will probably take a little bit of time and be a little tedious, but that's probably what the next video is going to be. Sorry about that in advance. But yeah, these bodies are really cool. They're really nice castings. And if you're wondering why I chose this particular body, this comes in right at about 80 millimeters long and right at about 32 millimeters wide. And the requirements for next year are can't be over 82 millimeters long, can't be wider than 33 millimeters. So so this body falls right in. These castings are a little bit bigger than like a Hot Wheels casting or an Auto World, or yeah, they're just a little bit bigger, so it falls right into the size requirements pretty close. So and like I said, and since it already sits real low, yeah, I figured it'd be a cool one to build. And so that's about it for today, folks. I mean, I don't know, I might get back on here and play some more a little bit later tonight, but chances are it'll either be tomorrow or the weekend, and I will then I'll get back on this guy and at least get the body fitting, and then I'll have to figure out how I'm going to get the lead in there. I might not show you guys exactly where I placed the lead, just because that's kind of the speed secret with these guys. But I will try and help you out as much as I can as far as getting these guys built. And if you aren't familiar with the King of the Hill race, it is an open track race. You should just look it up on YouTube, and it's a really cool deal. So yeah. So that's where I'm going to call it for today. This is Chris, and I will see you in lane 2.